Hello friends, how are you? I hope you all enjoyed our previous session on urban family and urban marriage, and I am here with you again to discuss a very significant and interesting dimension of urban social life, that is urban stratification system. The word stratification, as we know, comes from the word strata. Strata is nothing but the layer or level in the society. Friends, three of good things in life that are both scarce and desired are property, that is rights over goods and services; power, which is the ability to secure one's way even against the opposition; and prestige, that is social honor. So in effect, in all societies there is hierarchy of positions or groups of positions called strata that are set off from each other by the amount of property, power and honor they command. To that condition where societies are arranged into hierarchies of positions or stratas that command unequal amounts of property, power and honor, we call it as stratification. It is basically used in geology to denote the layering of rocks, because in rocks also we have multiple layers. So the rocks layers are also called as strata. Through this process of stratification, people are fixed in the social structure of the society. All individuals as groups are differentiated on the group of recognition and privilege. Consequently, various divisions are created in the society. These divisions, when they are conceptualized in a particular format, they are called as social strata. So the ranking of the individuals or groups on the basis of power, prestige and property is the central aspect in understanding social stratification. So social stratification in most simplest language is a process of interaction, of differentiation, whereby some people come to rank higher than others. Usually there are three forms of stratification which I am sure you all must have come across in your general reading. They are caste, class and estate. With specific reference to urban India, we see both caste and class as important forms of stratification system. There are extreme viewpoints which have been expressed about caste and class. One such view is that both caste and class are polar opposites and antithetical to each other. The other view in the caste represents ideational and normative aspect, whereas class refers to basic economic relations. There is a caste basis of class and also a class basis of caste. So you cannot differentiate these two as watertight compartments. The structural aspects of caste like economic, political dimensions have remained underestimated, whereas the cultural aspects of social stratification can provide a deeper, in fact, inseparable from each other. Both caste and class are conceptual constructs as well as empirical phenomena. Thus, caste and class represent to a large extent, though from different angles, the same social reality. Classes function within the context of the caste. Caste conflicts are also class or agrarian conflicts. The rifts between the upper and the lower caste to a large extent correspond with the conflicts between landowners and sharecroppers or agricultural laborers. Caste, to be defined, it is a very simple definition. It is hereditary, that is, it comes by birth; endogamous group, that is, marrying within the same caste; it has a common name, common traditional occupation, common culture, and relatively rigid in matters of mobility, and which offers a distinctive status and forms a single homogeneous community. However, in the changing situation, caste has adapted too many new features like having formal organizations like caste associations. They have become less rigid and has a link with politics. Caste is hereditary nature, as I just told you. It is segmental and hierarchical division of society with very strong restrictions on food, drink and smoking. Caste is an endogamous group with strong notions of purity and pollution and occupational association. There are also social and religious disabilities and privileges of a few sections. There is a clear distinction in custom, dress and speech. The conflict resolving mechanisms are also part of caste system. The castes have their own mechanisms which can be caste panchayats at village level and inter-village levels also. Caste system has undergone several changes owing to factors like westernization, modernization, Sanskritization, industrialization, urbanization, migration, education system, mass media and technological developments, legislations, etc. Before I proceed further, friends, from the points which I have just discussed, I personally feel there are two aspects which I would like to spend some time. Firstly, the concept of purity and pollution, and another aspect is Sanskritization. Other terms you all are familiar with. So, when I am talking about purity and pollution, see, in ancient India and a caste-ridden India, the occupations were categorized on the basis of purity and pollution. Those occupations like, taking out the skin of the dead animal or making footwear from that skin of the dead animal, or performing or facilitating the performance of the end rituals, death rituals in funeral grounds, some of these occupations were considered as the polluted occupations. Probably it had to do more with hygiene, but over a period of time it has assumed a very different notion altogether. So, what is this concept of purity? The occupations like teaching, occupations like doing business, where there was not direct link of dealing with unhygienic environment, those occupations were considered as pure occupations, and probably in the evolution of caste system these two concepts have played a very important role. I would also like to emphasize upon this Sanskritization. If you read M.N. Srinivas' Social Change in Modern India, you will come to know more in detail, but for the time being, Sanskritization is also a process of social change. And in this process, what is happening is, usually a person belonging to lower caste tries to adopt the lifestyle and habits of the dominant caste. You must be wondering what is the difference between upper caste and dominant caste. See, India is a very diversified place in terms of region. So, in different parts of India, in some parts Rajputs are a dominant caste, in some parts Brahmins are a dominant caste, in some parts Vaishyas are a dominant caste. So, dominant caste is the caste which is more predominant in that particular region irrespective of its place in the caste hierarchy. It is an indisputable fact that the caste system exists in a change form in urban India. Changes has always been present, though its rate in different aspects of the system has not been uniform. Changes in caste system in urban India are visualized in three forms such as structural change, functional change and attitudinal change. So, what are these structural changes? It includes decline in the supremacy of the Brahmins, changes in the caste hierarchy, improvement of conditions of the downtrodden, especially with regard to the government policies like protective discrimination, which has gone a long way in improving the socio-economic conditions of the marginalized and downtrodden communities, and this is quite visible in urban India, and they are socially accepted in the urban social matrix. Consequently, their social status has improved to a considerable extent. With regard to functional changes in caste system in urban India, we see that there is a change in the fixation of the status. There are occupational changes. Friends, let us take a minute to understand this. Whenever we talk about caste system, it is always connected in the context of its occupation. That is why when we say that caste is hereditary, occupation was also hereditary. For example, if there is a barber, barber's son has to be a barber as part of the traditional rigid caste structure. But in today's time, under the impact of urbanization and modernization, we see many occupational changes. A barber's son, if he is skilled enough, he can get into engineering. If he is skilled enough, he can get into medicine. So, no such occupational rigidity we find in the contemporary urban stratification system, and that is why I say that there are occupational changes. There are also changes in connubium. Connubium is your format of marriage. There is also change in commensality. What is commensality? Commensality is nothing but with what kind of people are we moving, and we are interdining. There is lot of change in the concept of purity and pollution. In today's time, we do not associate our interaction with regard to your occupational background. There is also change in lifestyle of different caste groups. There is change in intercaste relations in urban setting. Friends, there used to be a times where people, while interacting, they would definitely take into consideration your caste background. In fact, I remember a few years back, much before the pre-COVID time, when you would travel in the railway stations, and I am talking about the time where bottled water were still not existing in the railway stations, and people would carry their own bottles in that mudden pots or what you call as surahis. So even if someone is asking you water or someone is giving you water, they would ask you what is your caste. And one such incident also has happened with me. Probably that is why this example is still very strong in my mind, that with regard to caste, all these factors, your interdining habits, they play a very, very important role. But in contemporary urban India, we do not see such aspects in our day-to-day interaction. When you travel in a metro, when you travel in a MMTS, or when you are traveling in your flights, you don't see what is the caste of the person who is sitting besides you. Probably this is what is the changing face of urban India. We see that the power of caste panchayats also has undergone lot of change, with more and more judicial system dominating it. Restrictions on education has been removed in urban setting. There were times, my dear friends, where people of all the caste backgrounds were not allowed to study in the same classroom scenario, and as a result of which people of certain marginalized communities, they were asked to sit near the door. But in contemporary urban India, we are not seeing any such elements, but it is a fact that such kind of practices we still see in the remote villages, remote corners of our country. There is growth of caste consciousness to a great extent, which is also visible in our political system, and there is absence of judgmani system. You may wonder what is this Jajmani system again. See, Jajmani system was a system which was based on caste and economy collectively. And in fact, this was the stronghold of rural economy. In fact, in rural areas, there was a system whereby different caste groups, they would exchange goods and services. So, there used to be usually the landlords, they would provide things in cash or kind to the people from whom they would take services. For example, if a potter is there, he would provide the pots to the landlord, and in turn the landlord would offer him something in cash or kind. So there was a fantastic system of exchange of goods and services, something similar to barter system, and in which the currency's role was very, very minimal. So even many experts who have done study on rural economy, they said that rural economy could stand the test of time probably because of this Jajmani system. But when British rule came and they started their own revenue system of Ryotwari system, Zamindari system, this kind of interdependence of caste and economy was completely lost. So apart from these changes, we also see lot many attitudinal changes. There is loss of faith in ascriptive status. Now what is this ascriptive status? Usually in social sciences, status is categorized into achieved and ascribed. Ascribed status is something with which we are born. For example, when you are born or even in contemporary time, you enjoy a particular status by the virtue of your family background, by the virtue of your socio-economic status of your family. So that is something with which we are born. So with regard to caste, we will see that the ascribed aspect of caste, it has reduced to a great extent, and there is more focus on our achievement. So status which is ascriptive and achieved. So in urban stratification system, we see more significance to achieved status rather than your ascribed status, which includes your caste status also. Friends, we are also seeing change in the philosophical basis. Industrialization, urbanization, secularization, modernization, they have brought about so many significant changes in the caste system. M.N. Srinivas, you all should read this book. M.N. Srinivas has rightly observed that caste has taken the shape of an incarnation in modern India, and class is a status group and achieved status is exemplified by class. So when you talk about caste and class, in fact there is so much of interdependence, but if you try to compare its basic characteristics, you will find a clear-cut distinction between caste and class. So in class, there are different modes of feeling associated with class. That is, feeling of equality in relation to members of one's own class. There is feeling of inferiority in relation to those who occupy a higher status, and feeling of superiority in relation to those who occupy lower status. So these feelings develop class consciousness. So in caste, we have caste consciousness, and in class, we have class consciousness. There is a very strong element of prestige and stability associated with class. Different modes of living or lifestyles which reflect the speciality in our preferences, tastes, and value of class. See friends, for example, how we dress up, how we carry ourselves, what is the model of your mobile phone. In fact, nowadays, mobile also has become a part of your status symbol. What kind of vehicle are you driving in? All these factors are becoming significant aspects of our class consciousness, and it also depends upon our preference. What kind of lifestyle do we need? Do we need a very simple, easygoing lifestyle, or are we very particular that yes, my class has to be reflected in the way I carry myself? So that though the choice is individual, but its social implications are very, very strongly seen. So social class is an open group in which vertical mobility is seen. Now, what is this vertical mobility? Mobility is usually of two types, my dear friends: vertical mobility and horizontal mobility. When I am saying that there is a vertical mobility in class, what I mean is, like, let us say upper class, middle class, lower class is there. So, a lower class person has the opportunity to go to the middle class, or a middle class person has the opportunity to go to upper class. So, there is a possibility of movement within the classes. That is why class is also an example of open model of mobility, and caste is closed model of mobility, because in caste there is no scope for you to change your caste. Though in urban India, caste as a factor may not matter to us in a day-to-day basis, except during marriage times or certain specific rituals, but class and caste, they both operate, and in class open mobility is very much seen. Sorokin has differentiated between economic, political and occupational classes. Michael Young rightly says the soil grows castes, the machine makes classes. India is still a peasant society, though it is changing. Many sociological studies that have been made about the industrial workers in India show that caste stratification does influence the nature of the industrial working class. It affects its class character also. Industrial workers maintain close relationship with their caste and kin groups, villages and regions, and observe caste rules. Almost all caste groups are represented in the working population. The recruitment to the industrial class is more on the basis of the particularistic ties, achievements, merit and efficiency. India is also known for its soft policy implementation. So, the class structure in industrial society, it is necessary to know who controls what, like the mode of production and different class groups working on the mode of production and the relationship of these classes within the production system. No single industrial elite controls the economic power, but that control is divided among various elites who have stiff competition among themselves despite their cooperation. There is a strong symbolic relationship between politicians and economic elites in urban areas. Urban areas also have similar division of labor, and if elites want to attract capable people to the more demanding and responsible professional and managerial roles, they have to provide material incentives. Income, status group based on income, standard of life, social cliques become important criterion for determining one's occupations, also become important in urban areas. For the vast majority of the members of any urban areas, the chief determinants of their access to income and wealth are their position in the occupational systems of stratification. In cities, managerial and professional occupations are the most highly rewarded, followed by manual workers in skilled occupations. These are followed by lower white collar employees in clerical or sales work, while unskilled manual workers are at the bottom of the occupational hierarchy. The skilled blue collar workers enjoy higher incomes than lower white collar workers. Another change that has occurred in the occupational system of stratification in urban areas has been the substantial growth in the relative number of high and middle status occupations. There has also been relative growth in two intermediate occupational classes, skilled manual workers and lower white collar workers, especially the lower white collar workers. These developments have brought about an important change in the class structure in urban areas, and the majority of the people in most industrial societies are members of the middle class. This is another consequence of the technological innovations that have transformed the conditions of life for members of these societies since the beginning of industrialization, and also the industrial developments demand more and more capable people with high managerial skills. Here, the technical and efficient manpower is highly required. Various institutions provide training to produce such manpower. In an industrial society or in even metropolitan cities, the class of the person is exclusively decided by the machine and industry which one owns. His class is decided by the monopolies which he has created for himself and his collaborators. Since there are no face-to-face contacts, therefore, nobody bothers about anybody's past. Even the personal wealth does not in some cases play any role, because there are several financial institutions which can provide money for running any sound industry. In this society, class and caste structure do not go hand in hand, and quite in large number of cases are quite opposed to each other. There is no construction for parentage and the place to which a person belongs. Sociologists have agreed broadly upon these classification of social class in urban India. The capitalist class. During the British period, the production in India became production for the market. As a result of this, internal market expanded and the class of traders engaged in internal trading grew. With the linking of India with world market, there was growth in class of merchants engaged in export-import business. They started investing more, and simultaneously infrastructure improved to a great extent. Economically and socially, this class turned out to be the strongest class. The professional class. This class comprises of modern lawyers, doctors, teachers, managers and other working in modern commercial enterprise, officials working in state administrative machinery, engineers, technologists, etc. There is another class of petty traders, shopkeepers and unorganized workers. These classes have developed with the growth of modern cities and towns. The growing urban population creates demands for various kinds of needs and services. So, the petty shopkeepers and traders cater to these needs of urban population. A section of urban population draws its livelihood from these sources. It comprises on one hand the self-employed petty shopkeepers, traders, vendors, hawkers as well as semi-skilled and unskilled workers in the informal sector. The working class. This class has formed predominantly out of the pauperized peasants and the rural artisans. Generally, the urban class structure comprises of the managerial and professional occupations are the most highly rewarded, followed by manual workers in skilled occupations, lower white collar employees engaged in clerical jobs, unskilled manual laborers, and there is also class mobility in an industrial society. A person belonging to an inferior class can join the superior class by the dint of his labor and hard work, and vice versa is equally true. In industrial class structure, at the top is the person who manages the whole show and is the owner of the industry or group of industries, either on the strength of his own wealth or arranged by him. Next down below are wholesale dealers who purchase his product and sell that in the market at the same premium, keeping margin with them by way of profit. They sometimes compete with the owners and even dictate their terms. Friends, when we talk about the urban stratification system, apart from caste and class, and within the jurisdiction of class, middle class is a very, very important component. In fact, no Indian budget will go without taking into consideration the needs and requirements of the Indian middle class. Though as a phenomenon, Indian middle class originated during the British rule, but after 1990s is a benchmark India with regard to Indian economy, because in 1991 India announced its liberalization policy of LPG, liberalization, privatization, globalization, which led to massive economic reforms, and post this reforms a new kind of Indian middle class emerged, which focused completely on good education, white collar employment, entrepreneurship, and Indian middle class is also being considered as that of a consumer class, and that is why post economic reforms, lot many multinational companies started targeting this consuming ability of the Indian middle class. So when we talk about urban stratification system, its discussion is incomplete until and unless we don't acknowledge the presence and role of Indian middle class in the formation of the urban class structure. In most of the industrial cities, we also see the presence of Indian middle class. So city to city and town to town, the format, the structure and the framework of the middle class may vary, but what brings them all on one common platform are three factors, that is of income, education and occupation. And because of these three factors, the Indian middle class has become a critical class as part of urban stratification system. Friends, there is so much to talk about Indian middle class, and my research work of my PhD is also on urban middle class. So this topic is personally very close to me, but keeping in view the constraints of the time and limitations of our understanding, I shall stop this session here, and I would request you to explore the new dimensions of the urban stratification system, probably which is a unique combination of caste, class and so many other evolving social factors. So whatever we have discussed here, it is not a rigid rule that every urban stratification system follows the same. A lot is evolving, a lot is changing, and if you want to share any of these things with me, please feel free to write to me on pandevini@gmail.com. And friends, I shall meet you very soon with altogether a new dimension of urban sociology, and you must be wondering that in every class I am saying this, but that is what is the beauty of urban sociology. Every dimension is new, and from forthcoming session our focus will be on discussing the urban problems. So stay tuned. Continue to learn, continue to explore, and also share with me till my next session. Be happy, be safe, keep learning. See you all. Bye-bye. Thank you.